Acrisius, the mighty king of Argos, ruled over a powerful city, yet his heart was consumed by anguish. Despite his wealth and influence, he lacked the one thing he desired most: a male heir to secure his legacy. Desperate for answers, he journeyed to the Oracle of Delphi, seeking solace in the wisdom of the gods. But the prophecy he received plunged him into despair. You will never have a son, and no matter where you hide, your destiny is to be killed by your grandson. The words of the oracle haunted him. Acrisius had only one child, a daughter named Danae, and the thought of her bearing a son who would one day end his life filled him with dread. Determined to defy fate, the king devised a cruel plan. He ordered a towering prison of bronze to be built within the palace, a place where no man could enter. There, he locked away Danae, condemning her to a life of isolation, her beauty hidden from the world. But the gods had other plans. Zeus, the lord of Olympus, heard Danae's prayers as she wept in her confinement. Moved by her sorrow and captivated by her beauty, he resolved to visit her. Transforming himself into a golden rain, Zeus descended from the heavens and slipped through the narrow openings of the tower. The golden rain fell gently into Danae's lap, and from this divine union, a child was conceived. When the boy was born, Danae named him Perseus. News of the child's birth soon reached Acrisius, who was consumed by rage. He refused to believe the child was a gift from the gods, and instead suspected his brother, Proetus, of seducing Danae to claim the throne. Enraged and desperate to escape the prophecy, Acrisius took a drastic and heartless measure. He ordered Danae and her newborn son to be sealed inside a wooden chest and cast into the sea. As the chest drifted into the vast, unforgiving waters, Acrisius convinced himself he was blameless. The gods cannot punish me, he thought. I did not kill them. If they die in the ocean, it is their fate, not my doing. Yet, the gods watched over Danae and Perseus, and their destiny was far from over. Locked away in a cold, bronze tower, Danae spent her days in solitude, her only companions the faint rays of sunlight that slipped through the narrow openings. Her father, King Acrisius, had condemned her to this prison, desperate to thwart the prophecy that foretold his death at the hands of her son. Yet, even in her isolation, Danae's prayers reached the heavens, her voice carried by the winds to the ears of Zeus, the mighty lord of Olympus. Zeus, moved by her sorrow and captivated by her beauty, resolved to intervene. The god of gods, known for his cunning and power, devised a way to reach her. Transforming himself into a shimmering golden rain, he descended from the heavens. The rain slipped through the cracks of the tower, cascading gently into Danae's lap. In that divine moment, Zeus and Danae were united, and from their union, a child was conceived, a child destined for greatness. Months passed, and the cries of a newborn echoed through the tower. Danae cradled her son, naming him Perseus, a name that would one day be spoken with reverence across the lands. But their joy was short-lived. News of the child's birth reached King Acrisius, and his fury was boundless. He refused to believe the child was a gift from the gods. Instead, he suspected treachery, convinced that his brother, Proetus, had seduced Danae to claim the throne. Consumed by rage and fear, Acrisius devised a cruel plan to rid himself of the child and the prophecy. He ordered a wooden chest to be constructed, its interior barely large enough to hold Danae and her infant son. Without hesitation, he sealed them inside and carried the chest to the shore. The waves crashed against the rocks as Acrisius cast the chest into the sea, his heart hardened by desperation. "The gods cannot punish me," he muttered. "I have not killed them. If they perish in the ocean, it is their fate, not my doing." The chest drifted into the vast, merciless sea, tossed by the waves. Inside, Danae clung to her son, her heart heavy with fear but steadfast in her hope. Unbeknownst to Acrisius, the gods watched over them. Zeus, unwilling to let his son perish, called upon Poseidon, the god of the sea, to guide the chest to safety. Their journey was far from over, and Perseus's destiny had only just begun. Perseus, now a young man of strength and courage, had grown under the care of Dictys, the humble fisherman who had rescued him and his mother. But his life took a fateful turn during a grand celebration at the palace of King Polydectes. The king, scheming to rid himself of Perseus and claim Danae for himself, demanded extravagant gifts from his guests. Perseus, a fisherman with no riches, boldly declared, "I have no jewels or horses to offer, but I will bring you the head of the monstrous Medusa." The room fell silent. Medusa, the dreaded Gorgon, was a creature of legend, her gaze capable of turning men to stone. Polydectes, seizing the opportunity, accepted the challenge, knowing it would likely lead to Perseus's death. But Perseus, the son of Zeus, was undeterred. He set out on his perilous quest, determined to prove his worth and protect his mother. The journey was fraught with uncertainty, for Medusa's lair was hidden, and many brave heroes had perished seeking her. Perseus, however, was not alone. The gods themselves came to his aid. Hermes, his half-brother and the messenger of the gods, became his guide, while Athena, the goddess of wisdom, offered him her polished shield, so reflective it could serve as a mirror. They directed him to the Graeae, three ancient sisters who shared a single eye between them and held the secret to Medusa's location. Perseus approached the Graeae with cunning. As they passed the eye between them, he snatched it from their grasp, leaving them blind and desperate. "Return our eye," they cried, clawing at the air. Perseus, calm and resolute, replied, "I will return it only if you reveal the location of the nymphs who guard the artifacts I need and the lair of Medusa." Left with no choice, the Graeae complied. Guided by their directions, Perseus found the nymphs, who gifted him winged sandals for flight, Hades' helmet of invisibility, and a special bag to carry Medusa's head. Armed with these divine abilities, Perseus journeyed to Medusa's lair. There, he used Athena's shield to avoid her deadly gaze, watching her reflection as she approached. With a swift strike of the sword forged by Hephaestus, Perseus beheaded the Gorgon. From her blood sprang Pegasus and Chrysaor, symbols of his triumph. Perseus placed her head in the enchanted bag and began his victorious journey home, his legend just beginning. With Medusa's head secured in the enchanted bag, Perseus soared through the skies on his winged sandals, his heart filled with triumph. Yet, his journey home was far from uneventful. As he traveled, he came upon a vast and desolate land, the Garden of the Hesperides, where the mighty Titan Atlas bore the weight of the sky on his shoulders. Perseus, weary from his travels, approached the Titan and demanded hospitality. "I am Perseus, son of Zeus and the slayer of the dreaded Medusa. Grant me rest in your domain." Atlas, skeptical and bitter from his eternal punishment, scoffed at the young hero. "Do you take me for a fool? No mortal could defeat the Gorgon. Leave my lands at once." Perseus, insulted by the Titan's disdain, felt his anger rise. Without hesitation, he reached into his bag and withdrew Medusa's head. The moment Atlas's eyes met the Gorgon's lifeless gaze, his massive form stiffened. The Titan was transformed into a towering mountain, his peaks forever holding the sky. Continuing his journey, Perseus soon arrived in the kingdom of Ethiopia, where a new challenge awaited. The land was in turmoil, cursed by the wrath of Poseidon. Queen Cassiopeia, in her arrogance, had boasted that her daughter, Andromeda, was more beautiful than the Nereids, the sea nymphs beloved by the god. Enraged, Poseidon sent a monstrous sea creature to ravage the kingdom. To appease the god, King Cepheus and Queen Cassiopeia had chained their daughter to a rock as a sacrifice. As Perseus approached the shore, he saw Andromeda, her beauty radiant even in her despair. The sea monster emerged from the depths, its massive form surging toward her. Without hesitation, Perseus dove into action. Using his winged sandals, he darted through the air, striking the beast with his divine sword. The battle was fierce, the waves crashing around them, but Perseus's skill and courage prevailed. With a final, precise blow, he slew the creature, saving Andromeda and the kingdom. Grateful for his heroism, King Cepheus offered Andromeda's hand in marriage. Perseus, captivated by her beauty and grace, accepted. Together, they set sail for Seriphos, where Perseus would confront King Polydectes and complete his journey. The hero's legend grew with every step, his destiny unfolding as the gods watched from above. With Andromeda by his side and Medusa's head secured in the enchanted bag, Perseus sailed back to Seriphos, eager to reunite with his mother and fulfill his promise to King Polydectes. Yet, as the island came into view, a sense of unease gripped him. The joyous homecoming he had envisioned was not to be. Instead, Perseus learned of the horrors his mother, Danae, had endured in his absence. Polydectes, furious at her rejection of his advances, had subjected her to relentless abuse. Desperate for safety, Danae had fled to the temple of Athena, where the sanctity of the goddess' protection shielded her from the king's cruelty. Fury burned in Perseus's heart as he heard of his mother's suffering. The once humble fisherman's son was now a hero of divine lineage, and he would not allow such dishonor to go unpunished. Word of Perseus's return spread quickly, reaching Polydectes, who summoned his guards and fortified the palace, determined to crush the young hero. But Perseus, undeterred, rallied allies who admired his bravery and reputation. Together they marched toward the palace, their resolve unshaken. The battle that followed was fierce. Polydectes' soldiers, outnumbering Perseus's allies, fought with ruthless determination. The clash of swords and the cries of men filled the air as Perseus fought valiantly, his divine sword cutting through the chaos. Yet, as the tide of battle turned against him, Perseus knew he had one final weapon to unleash. Standing amidst the carnage, he raised his voice above the fray. "Those who are my friends, close your eyes now," he commanded. With a swift motion, Perseus reached into the enchanted bag and withdrew Medusa's head. The lifeless eyes of the Gorgon met those of his enemies, and in an instant, the battlefield fell silent. One by one, Polydectes' soldiers turned to stone, their forms frozen in eternal defeat. The cowardly king, who had hidden behind his throne, now knelt trembling before Perseus. "I will let you live," Perseus declared, his voice cold with disdain. "But you will forever remain the pathetic image I see before me." With that, Perseus raised Medusa's head once more, petrifying Polydectes where he knelt. The tyrant's reign ended, and Perseus crowned Dictys, his adoptive father, as the new king of Seriphos. Justice was served, and Perseus's legend grew ever greater. With Polydectes defeated and his mother safe, Perseus returned the divine artifacts to the gods who had aided him. The winged sandals, the helmet of invisibility, and the enchanted bag were all returned to their rightful owners. As a final act of gratitude, Perseus offered Medusa's head to Athena, who fixed it onto her shield, the aegis, making it a symbol of her power and protection. Perseus's name spread across Greece, his deeds celebrated in songs and stories. Yet, even as his legend grew, the shadow of the prophecy loomed over him. Though Perseus had no desire for revenge, rumors began to circulate that he would one day return to Argos to confront his grandfather, King Acrisius. Fearing the prophecy's fulfillment, Acrisius abandoned his throne and fled to a distant land, hoping to escape his fate. Perseus, unaware of his grandfather's whereabouts, continued to live as a hero, his reputation earning him invitations to festivals and games held in honor of the gods. At one such event, Perseus participated in a discus throwing competition. The crowd cheered as the hero stepped forward, his strength and skill unmatched. With a mighty throw, the discus soared through the air, its arc graceful and powerful. But fate, ever watchful, intervened. The discus veered off course, striking an elderly man in the crowd. The man fell to the ground, lifeless. As the crowd gasped in horror, Perseus rushed the fallen figure, only to discover the truth: this was Acrisius, his grandfather. The prophecy had come to pass. Despite all efforts to avoid it, the oracle's words had been fulfilled. Perseus, stricken with grief, mourned the man who had once condemned him and his mother to death. Though he had not sought vengeance, destiny had claimed its due. Perseus buried Acrisius with honor, acknowledging the inescapable will of the gods. In the years that followed, Perseus founded the great city of Mycenae, a testament to his legacy. He and Andromeda ruled with wisdom and strength, their lineage giving rise to heroes of unmatched renown. Among their descendants was Hercules, the greatest of all Greek heroes. Perseus's name became immortal, his story a reminder that even the mightiest cannot escape fate. His life, marked by triumph and tragedy, left an indelible mark on the history of Greece, forever enshrined in the annals of legend.